So we're thinking about arrangements here. And what is your strategy? So if you're like a health system or a different type of organization, what is your alignment with providers in your community? You have a spectrum of that. It could be, we're not aligned. That's the furthest away. And then you have full employment. So that's going to be the most aligned with your organization. So it really depends on what your alignment is. What are the regulatory climate in the area? What is the climate of the physicians in your community? What is the demographics of that? So do you have a lot of like older physicians that really like to work independent? Or are you hiring a bunch of young residents that are like, hey, I just kind of want to show up and take care of patients. I don't care about managing your practice and marketing and front office staff. I just want to see patients. So what is that? What is your access to capital? How much risk are you willing to take in an area? So if I'm a large health system and I have tons of capital, I can usually get capital at a pretty cheap rate. I can go out to the market and issue bonds and get them at a pretty low rate. Am I a physician practice? Probably not going to have a lot of access to capital and probably paying a lot more for that capital as well. So what are the arrangements? We kind of went through this. Employment, you can either be like a full-time employed provider, part-time, PRN. So this is just someone that's as needed. So maybe like OBGYN maybe would be a good example of that. They just come in time to time and maybe do some deliveries in their practice. Maybe they're in private practice completely. Contracted. So this would be like 1099. So you don't get employment benefits. You have to pay all your own payroll taxes. You may or may not have to pay for your malpractice insurance, depending on the structure of this arrangement. That's just really for like an individual provider. Then you might have PSAs, professional service arrangement. So this is an arrangement that maybe a medical group enters into with a health system for certain services. So it could be for call coverage, could be for the entire emergency department. You might even see some co-management agreements as well. This is pretty popular in orthopedics, cardiology. So health system and physician groups, they come together. They probably have some joint ventures on the land. They probably have some joint ventures on the building. They probably own some of the stuff. And then they manage the cath lab together and some of the other areas. And then very popular right now is private equity. So there's a lot of capital on the sideline. So a lot of wealthy individuals pool their money together, give it to some advisors, and they're like, hey, let's go acquire a bunch of medical practices, pull them together, get some operational efficiencies, grow it, and then sell it. And so PE, their strategy is typically 5 to 7 year exits. So they want to put money in, get money back out in 5 years. They want to get a return on their capital. And if they don't get the return on capital, everybody's seen the movie Goodfellas, where they're like doing the collections, like, oh, you had a bad week? Screw you. Where's my money? Oh, you had a bad day? I don't care. Where's my money? Oh, your mother's in the hospital? I don't care. Where's my money? That is exactly how they do it. What they do is in what I would call asset harvesting, is they look at your balance sheet, see whatever assets you have, and they make you sell them. And then what they do is you lease them back. So a strategy would be, so I don't know if everyone knows, in PE, typically you have a couple of different fee structures. They put in money into the organization. You have access to more capital. In return, you get 2% of the revenue, and you get a consulting fee in some of the profits. If profits don't materialize, you get 1% of the revenue, right? So how do you do that? You jack up revenue in 1 year. You sell all the assets, you get a little bit of profit off of that, and then you dilute the company and sell it off for parts. Not a very fun experience, not very good probably for most people as humans. Probably pretty bad as a patient experience as well too.